Welcome back to Leadership Rules, where we believe leadership isn't just a role, it's a way of life. So whether you're leading a team, a community, or simply leading yourself, we're here to help you unlock the rules to lead your life with purpose and impact. I'm Nick Niglio, joined by my co-host Marnie Stockman. Together we co-authored Lead It Like Lasso and the Business of You, and we're thrilled to have Leah Leverich on the show today.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Excellent. Let me give a little background. So Leah's the host of the Decision Day podcast. That is how I found you, right? I was stalking LinkedIn and I really liked your story because you document your experience, taking a non-traditional path while helping high school students, figure out their post-graduation decision with some confidence. You're also the brand manager and event planner at Big Brand Ventures, working with Brandon T. Adams, Brian Harrington, and Original Shark from Shark Tank, Kevin Harrington. We get that all right?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Perfect. So we like to start off with some biscuits with the boss. That's a Ted Lasso thing. Questions, some icebreaker questions. So first concert, best concert.
Okay, so I was listening to another one of your guys' episodes, so I was already preparing what I wanted to answer if you did ask me this question. And it's perfect because my parents are in radio, so music is just always around me. So my first concert, honestly, might have been Fergie.
Okay.
And I did not, I was 2, so I did meet her, but I was 2. So no idea what that interaction was like. I don't know if a 2-year-old is her target demographic, but
probably she'd be surprised to find that her youngest fan was there.
I think my mom was working that show, so I just tagged along because there was no babysitter. And so Fergie was my first, I believe.
Excellent.
And the best concert is going to go to Beyonce because I love her and she's the best.
Nice. Nice. Well, chalk went up for Fergie. That's the first we heard that. So
it is. Yeah,
that's perfect. All right. Since you know the questions, coffee or tea?
Okay, green tea. I don't really drink coffee, and I heard that you guys don't either, which is awesome.
Yep. Yes, and I switch. I'll have a black tea in the morning, then green tea. I'm almost up to my green tea for the day. Dog or cat? I know. I say the same thing.
I have a dog, but I think I'm going to go with cat because he's like a little brother. I'm kind of like, okay, I need my space. I'm going to go with cat.
We won't tell him.
No, we won't. What's his name?
Walter. He's a mini schnauzer, so he looks like a little old man.
Oh, I love that. Book choice, paper book, audiobook, or electronic?
I've been really into a Kindle recently. It's just so much easier and quicker to get through books. But if we're talking self-help, it's got to be paper so you can hold it and annotate it and everything.
Take notes. Perfect.
Yeah, with you on that. And then leadership, art or science?
I think leadership, I kind of like art because everyone does it differently.
We're good with that answer.
I think that is a perfect answer. So let's kind of get into this, Leah. And it wouldn't be our podcast that wouldn't plug ourselves. But in our book, The Business of You, we tell this story about a guy who asked 100 different people for advice. And, executives, professors, industry leaders, and every one of them gave him a different answer. And while some said play it safe, others said take risks, focus on network, focusing on skills, eventually he realized that they all had their answers, but none of them had his answer. And I think that story anecdote is perfect as we talk to you, because your podcast, Decision Day, is all about helping students navigate that exact moment, trying to figure out their answer after high school. So that long-winded intro leads to this question, which is, what really led you to start that podcast? And what have you learned about helping people make that decision with confidence?
Now that you made that connection to the book and making that decision, that's exactly what it felt like. I've never heard it summarized like that, but that is the feeling of being a young adult, being in high school, asking everyone in your circle, friends, family, grandparents, like just people you work with, what should I do when I graduate? And for my sake, it was, is college the only path for me? Like, do I have to go to college? And so I was getting all these different answers, but none of them were what I wanted to hear. And so I would just get really frustrated because I'm asking people that I trust and that are already successful, and they're telling me something that I'm like, okay, but it doesn't feel right for me still. So making that decision was very difficult, and I ended up not going to college and taking the traditional route after trying to get into school, getting accepted, and then even taking a semester off to prepare for college because I felt a little behind.
Yeah.
In January 2023, I said, I don't want to go to college. I just want to enter the workforce. And I know there's got to be some other students out there that feel the same, that college isn't the next step for them and they just want to start making money and building their experience. So Decision Day was created as a community, like a cry for help to find community, but also
Yeah.
to document the journey, taking a non-traditional path and just working. And so if it ever backfired, I'd be like, well, I documented it. It's something that I did. It's almost like a diary entry. And so now it's evolved because I'm way more confident in my decision now that I'm a few years out and in the working world, as you mentioned. Now it's helping young adults figure out what their ideal career is and then going backwards and seeing if they need education or training or certifications to get there. And so we interview people from all different careers, talk about finances, basic finances, and just advice on adult life in general. And so your analogy there was spot on because it can feel frustrating when you're not hearing what you want to hear at the end of the day.
When did you? Oh, sorry, Nick.
Oh, go
When
ahead.
did you know it was the right decision for you, or did you know by the fact that you didn't like any of the other answers you were getting? So when you finally made the decision, there was a sigh of relief.
I feel like I always had that entrepreneurial spirit growing up. I just love creating something, the business side, selling a product or service. Like I always had that in me, but I didn't realize it. I was just like, oh, I know I like doing that stuff, but I didn't make the connection because you're young, you have no idea. But I think the moment that I realized I didn't want to go to college, it was already brewing, but I was applying to FIT in New York City for interior design. I was making my portfolio that whole semester off. And then when I put in all my hours, gave all these different art like projects, 3D models, everything, I submitted it. It was like my whole summer of work. And the acceptance email that I got back, I talk about this all the time, it said, congratulations, first name. They didn't even put my name on the acceptance. Their
Oh,
automation was that messed up that they couldn't put congratulations, Leah Leverich.
first name.
I was like, is this really what I'm going to do? Like, I remember
Right, I poured
sitting,
my heart and soul into this.
yes. I was sitting in the other room when I got that email and I was like, Mom, what is this? Are you serious right now? So I took it as a sign. And that's when I knew. I was like, I'm just going to keep going with this job that I have that I really like and see where it takes me because I don't know if this college really wants me.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's funny. We know a person who, Mickey, I'm thinking
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Marty, who
yeah.
documents the interaction between universities and prospective students, and he talks about that all the time. That their personalization is so off, and it misses their actual name. It puts placeholders, and hearing somebody else say that just
We got to
brought me
put a
back
pin
to
in that. I want to hear more about that.
yeah, absolutely,
We can
absolutely.
connect for sure.
So Leah, this whole notion of being overwhelmed with all the choices out there. First of all, I think your choice in today's world is a very courageous choice. I think it's becoming more and more accepted
It's gotten
than
so
it was
much
even a
better
couple.
since 2022 when I graduated. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is not that
absolutely.
long ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is a courageous choice. But the fact is, as you're graduating high school, you do have so many choices, right? Whether it's choices just between colleges or what career you might end up going into straight out of college. I'm curious, do you think that there's anything missing in the way schools or even families prepare students for life after high school?
Absolutely. There's so many things, but I'll keep it simple. I feel like students, even now, because I go back and I talk to a lot of high school seniors and juniors, they still feel like they're just trying to find their passion. And I feel like that's so confusing because what is your passion unless you like have known since you were a kid? Kind of like my dad, honestly. I want to be in radio. Like he's always known that. So it was very clearly laid out for him and he just had to follow it. For me, I didn't have that. And I know a lot of other students don't. So the notion that they have to find their passion is so confusing because what if your passion doesn't lead to the financial stability that you're maybe hoping
Paying
for?
job.
Yeah. What if it doesn't align with what your version of success is? So I feel like following your passion is something that they're still being misguided on. There's this quote that I always refer to by Mike Rowe. If you guys know the
Oh,
Dirty
yes,
Jobs.
we just talked about him.
This
Yes.
is amazing.
Okay. You guys might know the quote already, but I'll re-say it just in case. It's follow your opportunity and bring your passion with you. And that's something that my dad shared with me. And it was just so reassuring to hear in my moment of feeling so confused and undecided because I was like, yeah, that's a great point. I'm going to follow this job that I already have. I love video editing. So I'm going to try to implement video editing within my job and my position. And so that's what happened. Like my position in the beginning was video production manager. And so we just kind of created that role based on what I knew I was good at and what I enjoyed doing. And so I feel like that's a great way to start having young adults and high schoolers figure out what they want to do is what are they naturally good at? What do they enjoy doing? And what change do they want to make? I feel like a lot of people are going for things like, I want to make this much money. I want to get this car. I want to have this house. Like it's a lot right now because of all the people you see online and comparing and all that. But if you really think about what impact you want to have in the world, like what problem are you solving, that could help. That could definitely help you find your career. And let's see, I just feel like even like what I mentioned with talking to counselors and parents, a lot of the conversation still is what college are you going to? And I feel like we need to change that to what's your ideal career? What's your dream career? And how can you get there? Because as college is shifting, and I believe there was a Market Watch article about this recently, college isn't the only option to get to certain things. And also, if you're going for a major that's more generic or broad, like business, marketing, communication, it might not be as worth it anymore versus just getting that experience when it's such a broad term. Unless you really niche down and I want to go for something specific, it just might not be as valuable to you, especially as prices increase and everything. So those are definitely the two main things that I'm like, we need to start shifting even more.
So it sounds like you did like deciding to not go into college, go straight into the workforce. Did you have any pushback from your family and those around you, or were they fully supportive in all of that?
I wish they were. You're taking me back because it feels a little traumatizing now that I've overcome
I'm sorry.
it. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. My family, there's 12 of us here, and the rest are in Italy, but they're infinite over there. But the 12 of us here now, everyone gets it. So I've gotten to a point finally where they're like, okay, we know what you're doing. We understand you're on a good path. Like you're set. But it was not always like that. And because my grandparents are very old fashioned and Italian, I always felt like, and they always told me it was be a lawyer, be a doctor, or be an engineer, and then you'll make us proud. And I'm like, whoa. I don't think any of those are for me. And also, I just have that kind of creative spirit that I was like, I don't know if I want to do the same thing every day. I don't know if that's what I want my life to look like. I am not a doctor. Like my mindset is not shaped to be a doctor in any way, unfortunately. So there was a lot of pushback in the beginning where depending on where you guys are, do you have Wegmans in your area? The grocery store?
I'm familiar with
Yes,
Wegmans. Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
great. I think we might have already talked about this too, but my grandparents and I, every Sunday, we have this tradition of just getting coffee and breakfast at Wegmans. And so back then, when it was 2022, I was going through the graduation process in my senior year, we would do these Sunday morning breakfast sessions together at Wegmans. And it would get so bad that we would always bring up the topic of going to college or not going, and they would get very passionate and they would start raising their voices in Wegmans.
Italian passionate. We get it.
Yes. And there was this one time where boys that I was in high school with came into the cafe area where we were. And I was like, this is so humiliating because I go to school with them. They're seeing me get lectured in Wegmans about not wanting to go to college. And that was like the epitome of it where it got really bad. I was like, you guys aren't listening to me. I don't know what else to tell you. The statistics aren't going to be me. I'm not going to let that happen. Like, it just got really bad. But if you really deep down push through it, listen to the opinions coming in, but really make the decision for yourself and understand that this is a choice that impacts your life that you're going to have to deal with. Don't make it for somebody else. Unless you're okay with doing that, but I wasn't. So I was like, I'm going to decide for myself and take it from there because I know I can. So there definitely was those moments of like, oh, they are not on my side, but now they get it.
So I know Marnie's dying to ask a question here, but I have one more follow up to that, please. So
Yeah.
as you're speaking to young people, high school students in the Decision Day podcast, how much do you think that message is being picked up by the parents themselves? I mean, are you helping with this message? Are you helping to educate the parents as much as the young adult?
Absolutely. A lot of parents that are very involved in listening to the show, they tend to be the ones that are reaching out. Like, I totally get it. I just need my student or my kid to understand this. Like, I need to not force feed it on them, but like I want to find a way to get them to listen, kind of like what you guys do. So I get a lot of response from parents because they are the ones that understand it the most. They've been through it. They're happy that someone young is sharing the message. But yeah, my goal is to hit the student directly. But if that doesn't work, we always go to the parent because they tend to understand and want to make sure that their kid is a success. So there's definitely a lot of that. And I encourage it because the parents, I feel like I'm honestly better at talking to adults way older than me or just older than me than I am talking to young people because I've just been doing it so much at this point. I have so much more practice, which is kind of funny.
No,
That's
I get
awesome.
that. I worked in a knitting shop when I was 14. So my mom said you're the youngest 65-year-old ever. But,
I feel that. I love it.
so, okay. So I actually had a follow-up question too, because one of the things that we're always quoting is from Harvard Business Review that self-awareness is the number one indicator of leadership success. And you mentioned that everybody needs to figure out for themselves, right, if this is their answer. So we're always talking with folks and we find that many of them that are feeling stuck or just drifting are just going down the path, I guess, that their parents or grandparents maybe are putting in front of them, or their teachers, of just this is the expectation, instead of really taking the time to understand who they are and what you mentioned earlier, what impact they want to bring or what they want to feel at work, to really get a better sense of that direction. So, I kind of had a question in there about vulnerability and authenticity. How much is that a part of your process? You're coming up with the decision and what you are talking to other students about.
Totally. So I think job shadowing will give you a lot of your answers, and it's not really pushed. Well, depending on the school you go to, the high school, it's not necessarily pushed a lot of like as you're going through the college discovery process or career discovery process. You should be job shadowing. You should reach out to these people and really spend a day in that work environment. But I feel like that's one of the most important and impactful things that will give you your answer, and lead to that authenticity and the authenticity within your decision. Because I spent a day shadowing an architect, and that was when I knew I wanted to do interior design, but I was like, the architect salary is a little bit more, so let's check that out, and maybe that might spark something in me. Again, I was looking at it from the wrong perspective, but in the moment, I job shadowed an architect, and looking around, I was like, these aren't really my people, though. Like, I couldn't envision myself in this environment every single day. A lot of it was cubicles, and that was something I knew I didn't really want, which is totally fine either way. But I just understood that being vulnerable, like I was like, these people are all great, but this doesn't feel like my group. And so it genuinely didn't sit right in my stomach to envision myself going to work in this job every day. And so that was just the decision I made in the moment. But also, I would say to be vulnerable with yourself and understanding what you're genuinely good at. And that came to me when I took that semester off after graduating from high school. I know there's a big stereotype about gap years and taking time off because you might never go back, which my case doesn't really help, but it's for a good reason. When I did take that semester off, I was just away from everyone that I went to high school with, away from my peers. Even though I love them, they're my friends. Taking that time to understand who I am and what I want, aside from what anyone who's judging me might say. So really just, I don't know, having that separation from your typical environment of people, and then you can really make your decision authentically, but also with honesty, without fear of what others might think.
I do wonder if that also has changed with social media. When I left for college, I did not speak to another person from my high school. Maybe folks would come back at Thanksgiving
Yeah.
or Christmas, but really it wasn't until I had kids in the same area where I went to high school and found them at PTO meetings. And so I wonder how different this is when students are always, you're never detached. Even if you go away to school, the social media still keeps you so connected. So interesting that you managed to break away. And was it, I guess it was just the day-to-day conversations that you weren't having
Yeah.
since you weren't there. Okay.
But also, like, when you graduate, you can choose who your circle is. When you're in high school
Yeah.
with your grade, I couldn't decide who I was around. And so if they weren't people that thought the same way I do, big picture, like wanting to go beyond where we live, explore the world, see what else is out there, I wasn't around that. So I didn't feel like I could think like that. And so when you graduate, you get to choose, okay, great, now who do I want to surround myself with? Social media does hinder that a little bit, though, because you're constantly reminded of maybe the negative, quote unquote, mindset of what other people are doing. So I did have to do a little bit of unfollowing, which is totally okay. I don't have anything against the people I went to school with, but it was an unhealthy reminder to me. If I see someone living the typical college lifestyle, but I'm not going for that, it's going to kind of suck me back into that. Because it's hard not to unless you have a lot of willpower. And I had to stay in the mindset that I'm in so that I could keep, pushing and achieving success. But also, I don't know if you guys have heard of those like decision day accounts, like the college. Yeah, it's just like it'll say class of 2025 college decisions for a certain high school. And that's where they post the graphics of Leah Leverich is going to FIT or Marty is going to, Harvard. And so that doesn't that doesn't help with the comparisons because you're seeing all these other students that are going to colleges that you may deem better or worse than each other. And so now you're comparing and you're feeling ashamed with your own decision. So just be true to yourself, make your decision with confidence, but don't let those other people's decisions like impact yours because they're taking their own path. It might be right for them. It might not even work out for them. And so just focus on you in the business of you. Like just stay focused on what you're doing.
So well said. So well said. So, Leah, we mentioned in the bio in the intro that you're with Big Brand Ventures, and with that, you've worked with some pretty big names. Names that I recognize: Kevin Harrington, Brandon T. Adams, Brian Harrington. Can you share anything that you learned about being around that type of entrepreneurial energy and how it has shifted or shaped where you're going next in everything that you're doing?
I will say, sorry, do you guys hear that tapping? Or no?
Just barely.
I don't know what that is. Okay, I think it's slowing down. I don't know what the heck that is, but I just want to make sure it's not coming through on the audio. So I would say being around that group of high level, like strong achievers, these people are always working. They're so driven. They're so accomplished. Being exposed to that at such a young age, because I started working with them at like 16, 17 in my junior year, that really provided me with the motivation to take a non-traditional path. But the way that they are so just on all the time, they're so knowledgeable and they have so much experience, they know so many people, it always motivates me no matter where I am, because we all work in different parts of the country. Like even working remotely, I get so much motivation just from experiencing their level of energy. And so when we do meet back up for work trips, it tends to be like once a month now. I always get that boost again of like, oh my God, yeah, these people are doing such amazing things. I want to be up at their level. I want to strive towards their level. So being around high achievers like that really helps, because it's so easy to fall into a lack of motivation or kind of like, slowly getting the wheels turning when you don't have that mentor or that inspiration to keep you going.
So you mentioned in the last bit that you were choosing who you hung out with, and now you've got these other mentors. And I've seen that you wrote an article about you're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most, and we talked about that in Lead It Like Lasso. And I've mentored students where we've had pretty frank conversations around some of these folks are dragging your average down, so you need to do better. But we also talk about the notion of having a personal board of advisors and looking for, you said mentor. So we talk about having a mentor, connectors. You're definitely living amongst the connectors of the world, and challengers, somebody that really pushes you to make you the better version instead of just kind of pull you down. So does that bring up thoughts when I mention a personal board of advisors?
Yeah, I'm trying to think who would even be on mine. I guess it's just the people that I work with at Big Brand Ventures, because I'm always going to them for advice. If I have a question about something, like they're always teaching me every single day, because I didn't get that traditional degree or education. Like this is my education, so I take that very seriously. But even it's just cool the fact that they're networking, and when we connected for the first time, we had a mutual connection just from their networking and your guys' networking. So I just think the way that the personal board of advisors, even though people on that board, everyone that we stay very close with in our inner circle knows so many people, the doors opening is crazy, and it's just so refreshing and reassuring that you guys connected with the people I work with, and we had no idea until we connected, and it all comes full circle. So I think that's one of the most valuable things that you could prioritize is your connections, making new ones, but also your current ones, like prioritizing them.
We do like to ask, and we'd like to spend some time talking about with every guest that comes on board. If there was one leadership rule that you live by that you wish more people, young people, let's think about people who are graduating high school or about to graduate high school or just graduate high school, would understand and live by, what would that one leadership rule be?
I think the one leadership rule that I would enforce to young adults and students is to be curious. As a leader or as somebody who's working with a leader, curiosity is going to fuel so much. I work with so many high schoolers who don't have a lot of questions and don't have that natural curiosity. And I'm like, why? Like, you should be wondering everything. This is the part of your life where you're exploring all of the options. So to have that curiosity towards the people you're working with, but also as a leader, when you're working with people, because for the first time, I've been managing someone on our team and I've never done that before. So I'm always asking her, like, what do you think? How are you doing? What are your thoughts on this? And making sure that she feels included and it's a nice space for us to both collaborate. I feel like curiosity is a great way to stay humble, but also to keep yourself learning. And leaders need to be, I mean, no leader knows everything. So you always have to be learning and especially learning from the people that you work with. So I think that's my answer. Curiosity.
And
Well, we
for
love
the
that answer.
audience out there, now you know why we invited Leah to be on this
Yeah.
podcast, because she is
Yeah.
our type of people for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so
So
grateful for the opportunity. Yeah, you guys are the best.
so tell our audience more where they can find out more about you or Decision Day, anything and everything about Leah that you
Sure.
wish to share.
Sure. So I'm on social media at Decision Day Podcast. I'm still running all of it. So if you have any questions for your young adult, for yourself as a young adult or young professional, you can always reach out, DM me on LinkedIn, especially. I encourage LinkedIn so much for young professionals. My LinkedIn is just my name, Leah Leverich. I just love having conversations with real young adults going through this process right now. And then also decisiondaypodcast@gmail.com is my email. So if you want to connect that way, I'm totally fine with that. And I just love, like I said, having the conversations and answering questions as best as I can.
Yeah.
That's excellent. We put it
Yeah.
on the highly recommend.
We sure do.
Thank
We're going to
you.
encourage everybody to check it out. Thank you so much, Leah, for spending the time with us. I know you're very busy. You got a lot of stuff coming up, but we really appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you guys for the opportunity.